You know, there are some stories that are just timeless. We're going to dive into one of the big ones today, Aesop's fable of the ant and the grasshopper. Now, you might think it's just a simple story for kids, but trust me, it's lessons about work, planning for the future, and, well, survival. They've never been more important than they are right now.
So let's just get right to it. I want you to think for a second. When you look at your life, your habits, your goals, what you did yesterday, who do you see looking back at you? Are you the ant, always preparing, or are you the grasshopper, living for the moment? That's really the big question we're digging into today. Okay, let's break this down. It's really two completely different ways of looking at the world. On one side, you've got the ant mindset. This is all about discipline, thinking ahead, and building security through good old-fashioned hard work. But on the other side, that's the grasshopper, living for those fleeting pleasures, getting lost in distractions, and kind of just letting things slide. This isn't just a fable, folks. This is a battle that plays out in our bank accounts, our careers, and our lives every single day.
So let's rewind a bit, like 2,500 years. There's a reason this story is stuck around for so long. It perfectly captures this tension between a beautiful golden summer full of opportunity and, well, the harsh, unforgiving winter that always follows.
So picture this. The air's got a chill to it, the party's over. You see this family of ants, just bustling, totally organized, drying out the grain they worked all summer to collect. They're set. And then, who shows up? The grasshopper. Fiddle under his arm, starving, and with absolutely nothing to his name.
And the ants, they are just baffled. It's not just surprise, it's like they literally cannot compute what he's saying. From where they're standing, the summer was this giant, flashing sign that said time to prepare. They just can't wrap their heads around how anyone could have possibly wasted all that time.
And here it is, the classic grasshopper excuse. And this is so important. He says he was busy. He wasn't lazy, you see. He was busy making music. He confused the activity of his passion with the productive work needed to actually survive.
Now, what happens next can feel a little cold. But you have to understand, this story isn't about the ants being mean. It's about something much bigger, the unavoidable, unchangeable reality of consequences.
It all comes down to this one unshakable law of the universe, causality. Cause and effect. You don't plant seeds, you don't get a harvest. It's that simple. The ants aren't being cruel, they're just living in reality. The world doesn't care how pretty your song is when the frost sets in. And then the ants drop this line, and man, it is chilling. But it's also brilliant. What they're really saying is, the currency you chose to earn all summer was music, so now, go ahead and try to buy some warmth with it. It's just a raw, brutal lesson in personal responsibility.
Okay, so enough about ancient fables. How does this whole ant versus grasshopper thing actually show up in our lives, right here, right now? Because believe me, it is everywhere.
Right. Let's start with the most obvious one, the place we see this play out constantly, our money. You know the grasshopper? They're chasing the next dopamine hit, the fancy dinner, the vacation that looks great on Instagram. Meanwhile, the ant gets it. They understand that the real freedom, the real security, comes from that boring savings account, that emergency fund. So when the winter hits, and it always does, maybe it's a layoff or a recession, the ant is hunkered down and safe, while the grasshopper is left out in the cold.
And this isn't just about money, you know? We see this exact same dynamic in how we approach our jobs and our education. It's all about how much you value your own time and effort.
Oh, come on, we've all seen this person, the student who goofs off all semester, then the night before the final, they're desperately begging the ant for their notes. And when the ant says no, it's not about being mean, it's about respecting their own hard work. They refuse to let their effort be the safety net for someone else's negligence.
So how does someone even end up on the grasshopper's path? It doesn't usually happen all at once. It's a series of small mistaken beliefs. Let's look at these mental traps.
This really gets to the heart of the delusion. First, you start believing that the good times, your youth, your health, your lucky streak, are going to last forever. Then you start confusing being busy with being productive. You expect that someone else, the industrious ones, will always be there to bail you out. And finally, the most dangerous trap of all. You start thinking your music, your hobbies, your fun is a substitute for the actual work of survival. It's not. It's a wonderful gift, but it won't put food on the table.
All right, let's zoom out for a second. Because this story, it's really about more than just your bank account or your job. At its core, it's about how you manage the single most valuable, non-renewable resource you will ever have, your own life.
And here's where it all comes together.
See, the goal isn't to kill that fun-loving grasshopper inside you. It's about integrating it with the wise, planning ant. Your life, that's the summer. The grain you're gathering, that's the wisdom, the stability, the relationships you build. You can absolutely have joy and music in your heart, but it has to be built on a foundation of solid, responsible work.
So, this is the bottom line. What do we actually do with this lesson? How do we start today to commit to our own harvest, to take care of the person we're going to be in the future?
It really comes down to 3 powerful commitments. Number 1, you have to accept that your future self is completely dependent on the choices your present self makes. No one else is coming to save you. Number 2, you got to put your passions in their proper place. Your music is a gift, it's a joy, but it's not a substitute for providing for yourself. And number 3, commit to the daily, sometimes boring discipline of the ant. Just put one piece of grain in the storehouse every single day.
And here's something you can actually tell yourself, like a personal mantra. Say it with me. I am a diligent steward of my time and resources. I provide for my future through today's effort. See how that reframes everything? Hard work stops being a burden and starts being the ultimate act of self-care. It's the greatest gift you can possibly give to your future self.
And that's really what it all comes down to, isn't it? Yeah, sure, the best time to start preparing was yesterday. We can't change that. But the second best time? It's right now. The sun is still out, there's still time on the clock. The only real question is, are you ready to start gathering?
Just let that one sink in for a moment. When the inevitable winters of life show up, and they will, it's not going to be our excuses or our pastimes that keep us safe. The only thing that will provide warmth is the grain we chose to gather, piece by painful piece, when we had the chance. So go on, go gather yours.